Hey team, welcome back to the show. Today it is Coach Natalie, Andrea, and myself. Danny is still with the team. Don't worry, she just couldn't make it today. But thank God, Danny is still here. We're gonna get into some overrated, underrated, just some topics like GLPs, HRT, some things within training that I think will be super interesting for everyone. But before we get into that, let's do some updates. It's been a bit. Natalie, you have an interesting life. Fill us in on what's been going on.
I do not currently have an interesting life. There's really nothing new going on. Nutrition wise, still in my cleanup phase, and I'm down about 10 pounds, which is pretty good. Um, I think I started something like mid-June and took a couple weeks at maintenance for a family vacation, some travels, which was pre-scheduled, predetermined. Um, so I've been pretty busy with some other things going on and haven't really been paying attention like any more than I need to. I'm kind of just like doing what I tell my clients to do, which is like putting one foot in front of the other and just ticking my boxes. And it's one of those things where I haven't been like pouring into my weekly check-in photos or like obsessing over the results I'm getting, but I was thinking about it, I think for my last check and I was like, "Oh wow, I'm down like 10 pounds. That's cool." So, yeah.
It is funny how it sneaks up on you. I felt the same way with my cleanup phase where it's like, oh, I'm actually quite a bit leaner. I didn't really think about it, but it's like, oh, I lost like 15 pounds. It's interesting. It's funny though, as feel like we both like just approached it pretty casually, where it was just like, oh yeah, just a quick, it's not like I'm trying to get shredded.
Right.
Nor were either of us like, I desperately want to get shredded. So it just makes a much, the like mindset around it is so much different.
Yeah, it's really interesting because there's not really a difference between this and a contest prep mechanistically. I mean, it's fat loss,
Hmm.
right? And the last time I was here was a year ago. So that feels pretty recent to me in terms of what I have to compare to. And it's like, oh, okay, I remember like this time last summer, we were going at a good clip though in prep, and of course you have that like stepping on stage that you're working toward, but it just feels totally different right now. And I've definitely taken it a lot more casually, but I definitely don't mean I've been executing casually. Like, still pretty much repeat the same meals. And then, like I've been making a lot of meals for my parents, for example, and like I'll kind of join when I can. Sometimes I make them something totally different, and then sometimes I make something that we all eat. But it's like, it's still just like a protein, a starch, and a veg in the amounts that I need it. And like nothing more complicated than that. So, and I wouldn't necessarily do that in a contest prep, but that's yeah, it feels like I've been approaching it more casually, but like not inaccurately and not less
Yeah.
seriously. And it's been kind of cool. I also think when you are looking at eventually doing another prep, we can't always be all gas, no brakes, and you can't always be in this mindset of like, like stressing out and like I'm working towards this big, big, big thing. Like sometimes it really is just kind of like a part of the process. And that's
Right.
just how it feels. It's like, yep, let's just like get this done and then we'll move on to the next thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to approach it, not making it any harder than it needs to be. I've done pretty similar with this phase, like, and it's context dependent. Like, this isn't how I would approach it. We talk a lot about like meals out, right? How that can impact
Hmm.
fat loss, etc. Not that like, we're against that, obviously, but like, if I was in like a contest prep, would I be having meals out? No. But
Right.
the last diet I did prior to this one, um, I noticed that like Katie was feeling like if I we were like out anywhere, like because I was dieting, she was like a lot more hesitant to like ask me to do anything, and like that's not like good for her. So my goal for this diet was like I don't want her to know that I'm even dieting. Like I'm gonna see if I can make
Oh,
it through this
cool.
whole thing without her even noticing that I was dieting, which we did successfully. I mean, I was just like last week we went up with friends, and I was like, they were asking me like, are you like in fat loss? What are you doing? I was like, oh yeah, I just finished up like an 8 week diet. She was like, oh really? I didn't know that. So we did the thing, but I have been like, hey, still go on our date night once a week, but I'm just like ordering very simple and just like I'll
Right.
overestimate my targets and things like that. So it's like that's been cool as well, where it hasn't felt like I don't know, it's like it's gone well, but again, it's just like not something I've really been focused on in terms of the fat loss.
Yeah, it feels like less of a life interruption in a way.
Right.
And same thing, like I've had a couple meals out, and now like I don't want our clients listening to think, because I know we're very much like, hey,
You
like
guys can
eating
still
out too
never eat
often.
meals out. You
Right,
can
right.
still eat meals out. The point of this
But
is just, are you happy with the progress?
yeah, and
But go
there's
on.
also a skill level and an art to doing it. And like I've definitely taken a couple meals out, and I literally mean like a couple. I don't mean like one a week even, like not even. Um and done the same thing. I've ordered like I went to IHOP and I got like four egg whites and four pieces of turkey bacon, and then kind of like what you said, overestimate in certain areas if I need to, but basically just order like as simply as possible. And it has not disrupted progress at all.
Yeah.
So like there haven't been stalls, we have made several adjustments just to like keep things moving, but it just hasn't been a big deal, and it's kind of been refreshing in that sense. But I'm
Oh yeah.
still like, you know, still kind of eager to get it done because I just want to move on. But
Yeah. Okay. Good deal. Anything else on your end?
mm-mm.
Cool. Had Lexi been adopted last time we were on this?
Yeah, I think yeah, yes. And so she is doing well. Thank you for asking. Her new her
Not
new
Lexi
family.
is not one of Natalie's children, but one of her dog children.
Yeah, no, I still have all of those. No, her new parents like text me all the time with updates, which is really cute
That's
and
cool.
sounds like she's settling really nicely. And I'm like stalking all of the rescues and shelters that I work with for like my next prospects because I'm dying. But I'm also looking at potentially doing a little bit of travel, so I'm kind of like, it's not really a good time. So kind of fighting with myself on that one, but I did take a dog out for a day the other week. One of the rescues I work with does that kind of program, which is really really cool, where you can like just get them out of the shelter and let them like decompress for a day. So I did that, and that was fun.
Love it. All right. Andrea, what has been going on with you?
Uh, Not a whole lot. My food hasn't changed. So, my coach immediately jumped my food up and it's just held there. And, well, that's not true. I think I updated that she pulled down rest days, which I only have 2 rest days in my week now. So that wasn't a whole lot of an adjustment. But since then, like I last when we updated, I said I had immediately jumped up to like 142, 143. Now I'm like 143, sometimes 144. So it's held pretty steady. And I've just been slowly getting just a little bit stronger in training, week to week. Um, I've had a cold for like 4 straight weeks now that just will not go away. So I'm hoping that once that finally goes away, training will feel even better. Not that it's felt bad. It's like bad enough to be annoying and I'm tired, but it's not bad enough that I can't do things, and I can't take like 4 weeks off from everything. So it's like just hanging around, but that's about it. School started back this week, which for me is actually nice because for a lot of parents it gets a little more busy, and it does for me too with like their sports, but it gets just back into the routine where
Yeah.
they're walking home. I don't have to leave my work and go pick them up from camp. Um, and it's just like it's nice to be back into the routine that we'll be in for the next 10 months or whatever.
Oh yeah. Good. Okay. So it sounds like pretty much status quo on your end. A little bit more
Yeah.
training frequency through the week. You have been sick for a long time. When I heard you
Yeah.
sniffling when we started, I was like, damn, still.
Yeah. A week or maybe a little bit longer than a week before I went to DC, um, for Macro Friendly Mama's show. I got like a sore throat and then and then the sore throat went away and I started coughing. And then I've just been coughing since that point, and now I'm like congested. It's just kind of morphing over time, but hasn't completely gone away. So I've had a few clients
Andrea
who have
just
had that
she
same
just
thing.
keeps trying to get me sick. You're like trying to hold on to this until the next team meetup.
I know it's gonna
No, it's
happen.
what's it called? Something warfare, where it's like you use
Chemical.
viruses. Yeah.
Biochemical.
Biochemical
Yeah.
warfare. Oh yeah.
Wait,
Cool.
fun fact, I think that like Andrea, Danny, and me are all like the same weight right now, ish.
Oh yeah. I didn't know Danny was the same weight right now. I knew she was kind of hovering around that time, that weight sometimes.
Yeah, I think the most recent update I saw from her, I think I could be wrong, but because she's up a bit from her, like between shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all like hovering within 2 to 3 pounds of one another.
How tall is she? I don't know that.
5'6", I
I
think
think
she
she's like
said.
five
5'6".
five or six, something
Okay,
like that.
that's so funny.
Crazy.
All very
Uh,
different looking.
And I think Jeremiah's the same weight too,
I
so
was
all of
about
us
to I was
really.
about to make that joke.
I'm
I was
six
gonna
foot
say weighed in at
seven.
151, 6'9", 151. Cool. On my end, we are just starting new push-up phase. So food a little bit higher. Was at like 2,800. We're at 3,100 now. Calories, obviously. I was all the way up to like 43 or 4,400 at the end of like the last push-up though, so we'll bring that up quite a bit higher. I'm definitely still getting leaner. We changed
How
my
much
training
did you end
split.
up losing
I
in your
went
cleanup?
from 237 to 222, and now
Mm.
I'm like a little bit, I mean, now I'm like 223 or 224, but also like added in growth hormone, which makes me heavier. So it's hard to tell like I'm definitely still getting leaner and looking leaner. Like 3,100 is like at this point a deficit for me, which is cool. Um, we did change up the training setup a little bit, so it's basically we talked about the like classic versus men's physique thing. He was like, "Where's your head?" Essentially, like, "Where's your head at with this?" I was like, "I know I have a long ways to go, but I would ultimately still like to like I'm fine to compete in like the physique, men's physique, because I know like the classic is a ways out, but I would still like to approach this as if like that's what we're working towards long term." He's like, "Yeah, for sure." So basically, it's I was push pull rest push pull delts and legs, and now it's basically push posterior, which the posterior day is like what it's like a leg curl, 3 sets of a single leg press, some adductors. So using the term posterior pretty liberally, and then like like a single arm pull down, a lat bias row, and then like an upper back row. And then so it's basically push posterior, push pull legs. So I like it. Not too crazy different than my prior split. Haven't even gotten fully stuck into it yet. I just like did my first day of it, 2 days of it so far, but I'm excited for it. So basically make my legs less small. But yeah, that's where we're at. You guys ready to get into some overrated, underrated?
Hmm.
Ready?
All right. First one. Let's start with GLPs. Overrated, underrated, appropriately rated.
I'm gonna say for the uneducated general public, overrated,
Okay.
because I think most a lot of people, not most, I think in our world, I think maybe people are a little bit more literate, but I think outside of our niche, I think people are not quite educated on what they are, what they do, and how to use them most effectively as a tool. And I think that's where you get a lot of the kind of fear mongering and scare tactics of people using them incorrectly. So they're not doing all the things that they should be doing anyways, right? Which is eating protein, resistance training, eating vegetables, eating fiber, drinking water. I think if you use it intelligently as a tool, then it can be helpful for the right person.
I completely
For
agree with
sure.
that. I think everyone who I have heard talk about these that are outside of like the fitness industry basically, like people just in my own personal life, the way that they're using them is not conducive to long-term success. And like you said, not eating protein, not eating vegetables, not using them as the tool that they could be to bridge the gap to get them to a place where they could manage the hunger while also working on um, the habits that they're going to need to be able to go off of them eventually and sustain that. Um, so yeah, I would agree. I think overrated. And you also hear so often now, just in culture, oh, it's nature's Ozempic or it's such and such Ozempic. So it's like and also I've had clients where they have lost a lot of weight, body fat, and even gained muscle, but they're just quite a bit leaner. And they'll have people in their life say something to them, assuming they've used
Mm-hmm.
Ozempic or what or one of the
Mm-hmm.
other GLPs. Um, so it's just it seems like now they are incredibly overrated, and everyone's mind immediately goes there.
My sister and brother-in-law told me that like so many of their friends, like they're like everyone is on it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And their friends are like outside my social sphere, so like not really the, the people that I kind of network with. And they're all like that incredibly gen pop, like not working with a coach, not resistance training, not like changing anything about their lifestyle basically,
And
and just
massively
implementing GLP.
overdosing them probably.
Yeah, probably.
That seems like to be the
Um,
case too, where people are using such a high dosage because it's just a very scheduled, generic scheduling that they get to the point where they're nauseous and vomiting
mhm,
because the gastric emptying has slowed so much.
mhm. So it's again, I feel so in some ways like so protected and sheltered with like my circle and also our clients because we're all a part of this, more than educated side of the internet where I think, like even the people we coach are more knowledgeable than Gen Pop. And I forget sometimes, and then that conversation with my sister kind of reminded me. I was like, oh yeah, like gosh, it's a jungle out there. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everyone's takes. I don't. I was gonna say appropriately rated because I haven't really talked to anyone outside of like clients or like friends who are in like the same kind of circle that I am about them. They're such a cool tool. They're it does drive me crazy the amount of like anti-peptide, anti-GLP like kind of marketing I see from coaches as well, where it's like this also isn't something to fear monger. Like it can be like a very incredibly useful tool, it's just but obviously as y'all said, like the way we approach it is important. But it's like even like I've had some clients where it's been like, man, like this person, they're dialed in. They have to just absolutely grind to get fat loss. And especially the like Retta is such a cool one where like we can actually like increase someone's fat oxidation potential. Um, where it's been very cool, like and it's not something that I use heavily by any means, but I've used with like a handful of clients and it is pretty remarkable like how helpful it can be. Now, on the flip side, like I've talked to clients. One of my clients was telling me about how her husband had directed her to me, and he was like, "Man, I should have just worked with Jeremiah as well," because like his coach is basically his only advice has been like, "Get on Retta." Like from week one, it's just
Yeah.
like get on Retta True Tide, get on Retta True Tide. And it's like there's such a long list of things I work through and like prioritize before it's like this is this something we're actually going to use and would be beneficial for us or not, or even like when people first started asking me about the GLPs and like Red or TrueTide specifically was coming up. So like I tried it for like 4 weeks and I was like, wow, I can for sure see how this would make fat loss way easier. That said, like I have done 2 fat loss phases since then and I haven't used it in either. It's just not something I feel I need. Realistically, I probably won't like have a need to ever use it. But again, like especially in these instances where it's like, man, fat loss is just a grind for this person for whatever reason. Their caloric intake is just so low. And we've truly like dotted our I's and crossed our T's with like their tracking accuracy and all these things. I do. It's again just like understanding the tool and when to apply it. I think is important. There's no black or white. But
It's almost hard to give it an underrated or overrated because
right.
some people are so anti it's underrated
Hmm.
and some people are so pro. It's like the only thing they have in their toolbox. So it's
Yeah.
hard to give it a rating. And there have been some clients, like you said, where it's like, this is such a grind and you're doing all of the like quote unquote right things and they're scared to use it, like which I understand, like an injectable thing is it's scary. Um, but it would be such an incredible tool for that type of client avatar, and then they'll be afraid to implement it.
Yeah.
And then other people where I feel like it's not necessary, they're the more curious ones about it, it seems. So
On the flip
I
side, I
think,
would say the just quick like the GLPs bringing into vogue the term food noise, and then people thinking that if they have quote unquote food noise, there is something wrong with them, is also an overrated aspect of it for sure. Like I think that like thinking about it wanting good food is normal. That's just an aside though. Sorry, go on, Natalie.
I was just gonna say that I think a lot of the fear mongering, like everyone sort of has a point. You know, the people that are overusing it and over recommending it, they have a point. It can be a really useful tool. It just shouldn't be the only tool. And the people that are fear mongering it, I think it actually comes from a lack of understanding. Um, and that is okay if you don't feel comfortable working with that tool or recommending that tool to your clients. Like I think you should understand it if it's something you're going to recommend. um and I think we could have a whole other conversation about things like sourcing and reliability and things like that, but just because you don't understand it doesn't necessarily make it horrible. And I think that's where a lot of the fear mongering can come from. um so I think that's our nuanced discussion on like overrated and underrated on both sides.
Yeah, good thing we did not ask for more here. All right, next up, heart rate monitors for cardio. I think
I would say
I think under
you go first.
sorry, there's a lag. You're good. I think underrated. I think that this is one of the best ways to ensure that you're actually burning. Like if we're doing cardio for fat loss, or I mean, if we're doing it for like an aerobic, like if we're doing it to for a conditioning goal, like hey, I want to do my zone two. Heart rate's going to be the best way to measure where we're at there, typically. And then similarly, like if the goal is fat loss, if we're just doing it for time, like your heart rate will tell you again, like approximately where we're at in terms of the caloric burn range we want to be in. If like we just put the incline treadmill at like 10 and went at 2.5 speed, over time as you got adapted to that, your heart rate would drop and drop and drop and we'd be burning less calories. So keeping your heart rate consistent allows us to burn the calories we want. So underrated in my opinion.
Agree.
kind of indifferent. I just use the things on the treadmill to test my heart rate, which I know is not going to be super accurate, but as long as you're using the same thing over time, I feel like you're going to land in a similar place over time. I mean, ideally, you would have a chest strap monitor for sure, but
I use
Andrea's just
one.
so low maintenance all the time.
Do you use one, Jeremiah? I do. Do you?
Yeah, I
like a
have
chest
like I
strap.
use my I don't I no I just use my Apple Watch. It's the only time I wear my Apple Watch is like because I just wear my Oura Ring the
Oh,
rest of the time,
okay.
but
Yeah.
I just wear my Apple Watch to check it the rest of the time.
I have the Coros heart rate monitor. It's
Okay,
like an armband. It
okay,
was one that Dom recommended, my coach, a while ago. It took me a while to get it. I was kind of like guesstimating doing the talk test at first, and then I just got one. And I have to say, like, I need for my cardio to be mindless and not second guess myself. And it just tells me exactly what I need to do. Like, I think a lot of people can attest to just like, I don't know, like this morning I was really dragging, just lower energy. And if I didn't have my heart rate monitor on, like there's probably no way I would have like maintained where I needed to be. I just like needed the visual of like, and I don't know, it makes it just so much more brainless for me. It's like all I have to do is make this happen.
Yeah, using a watch I will do too. I just don't use it on my cardio because I don't want it to count toward my steps, which I know Jeremiah, you and I do differently. But
No, that's what I have I have my Oura ring. That's where I count my steps. So it
okay,
actually, since I use my watch, it doesn't count over my steps because I have the same
you're
thing on
high
run.
maintenance.
You're telling me.
Yeah, that's actually why I have my like I don't have an Apple Watch or anything, which is why I have a heart rate monitor. And then I just have my it's connected to my phone, so I just have my phone up on the elliptical so I can just like watch where my heart rate is, which also means I'm relegated to podcasts and I can't like watch any shows or anything on my phone. That's fine.
So monitoring your heart rate, I do think is underrated.
Yeah.
In conclusion. All right. Uh, glute bridges. Andrea, what do you think? Overrated, underrated?
I think I think they're overrated, but I also program them for anyone who wants to build glutes. I think they're overrated because so many people think they're like the key to building glutes. I think they're incredibly helpful and it helps you directly load your glutes in a shortened position, but they're still overrated because of how hyped up that particular one movement is.
What if, never mind. Um, yeah, I would agree. I think that like it's just so common that your core bracing is the limiting factor with them. So many people struggle to maintain just that rib cage stacked over pelvis position that we want because the bar is literally pushing down on your pelvis. So it really encourages us to get into an anterior pelvic tilt. Um, but I also though like for a short bias glute movement, I will program them quite frequently. Now, for a long time, I would program them at like a much higher frequency and volume. Like I used to, like, oh, we want to build glutes. We're gonna go do glute bridges 3 times per week. Like now, I don't do that at all anymore. But and I've for sure like a 45-degree hip extension has grown on me a ton. We're just like basically a glute bridge but upside down, so it's easier to maintain that position. Um, but yeah, I would agree. I would say overrated, but I still think they're a good movement. They're still part of so many training programs that I put together, but again, just like wouldn't be my number one glute building movement. Natalie, you're super into training glutes. What's your take?
Actually haven't done a glute bridge in like over 2 years at this point. Um,
Jeremiah, had you do them 3 times a week?
oh my God, never. I would have quit.
I don't
Um,
remember programming any glute bridges, honestly.
I'm not sure. I definitely had them. I mean, I had them when I started with Dom for a while, and like me, they lasted like a year or something, and I was like, no. I'm with both of you, and I guess the nuance I will add will be for those looking to build glutes, it just gives us another tool because we can only heavy hinge so much, right? Like we can't just like RDL every single day. Like we can't split squat every single day. So it gives us an opportunity to add a bit more glute volume, glute stimulus to, without like destroying your central nervous system and all of those other things. But they aren't the end all be all that they seem to be. And I think I'm a decent example of that. Like I haven't done a glute bridge in a really long time and have brought my glutes up a fair amount doing all the other things that no one wants to do. So um yeah.
Cool. All right. In a similar vein, B stance RDLs, overrated, underrated.
Underrated, but I think they're coming in vogue now. I'm
Very
seeing a
much in
lot.
vogue.
Yeah, maybe it's just like our corner of the internet again, but
Hmm.
I feel like they are in their comeuppance. Um, whereas previously they were underrated, now people are like catching on.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
they're a really, really hard and challenging movement for people to nail though. Like when you get it, I think they're incredibly effective, but they can be really frustrating for clients. It took me a long time as well.
I have found that actually people can get this down a lot quicker, and it seems to carry over quite well to their bilateral. I've just been telling people, okay, use like a slightly lighter weight, just literally do a single leg RDL, and then like when you're at the bottom of that, just drop your back foot down, or more or less like feel your foot pressure there, feel where our balance is. We basically want to like try to maintain this. Um, I found people can get it down. I've been surprised at the people who like have struggled with like a bilateral RDL who can get it down pretty quickly. But I'm a big fan as well, obviously. Um, and it is a great way, I think, for us to like add in more hinging frequency, especially if building glutes is the goal, without it being as much axial loading. So big fan. Anything from you, Andrea?
I agree. A properly executed B stance RDL is really underrated. Most people turn them into a weird, like, split stance lunge thing,
Yeah,
or like a, what do you call it, Natalie? The
It's
curtsy thing.
it's a courtly bow from the Renaissance.
that's
Every
such a
time
good way to describe it, actually.
I see so many like quote influencers doing it on Instagram, and I always think to myself, I'm like, "Milady."
Oh man, we got to get back to the Renaissance Fair.
We
Uh,
do.
yeah, that's the biggest thing though is executing it well, which most people are just shifting way too much load to their back foot, squatting it rather than hinging it. So horizontal movement of the hips, hinge, vertical movement of the hips, squat. We want more of a hinge. Anything else on those? Nice. All right, let's do HRT. Overrated, underrated. Test is the best, is my opinion.
It seems to be underrated, based on how many clients I have that have suffered with like menopausal symptoms that are not on HRT and could feel so much better and make the progress that they want if they were using it. But I would, on another hand, say overrated because I think so many people think it's just going to be. I'm going to throw my mom under the bus here. She said, "Do you think that if you hadn't started testosterone, you would have built as much muscle?" And I said, "Well, no." And she said, "This person I was at dinner with said that she just built so much more muscle when she started HRT." And it made me think about it. And I was like, okay, yes, but also you have to do all the things to build muscle. The HRT is not going to do anything for you. You have to be doing those things already, and then that's just going to bring you back up to a physiological baseline of when you were younger. So it is incredibly helpful. It's also, for some people, I think, a little bit overrated.
I
Not
think
the first
client side.
person Andrea's tried to
I
throw
think
under the bus, but
seriously. I think client side it's underrated. I don't think a lot of women in particular understand how big a difference it can make. Um, but to your point, Andrea, it changes the environment. You still have to give it the stimulus, right? Like it's not like taking exogenous testosterone when you are literally like normally at zero and just bringing you up to where you kind of like should be, like a normal level, not above. Um, Really just like sets the environment up so that the things that you should already be doing anyway are more effective. So like we still need to be training within close proximity to failure with enough weekly volume, like per muscle group. Like we should still be eating enough food to build muscle. So like all of those things still have to be there. But I I I'm I don't want someone to hear this and think that I'm saying like, oh, like you're broken if you're in perimenopause or menopause. Like no, not at all. I just think there are a lot of women that are uneducated about how much they could benefit from this as a tool, for their physique goals and also lifestyle. You just like feeling better, like less anxious, more energy, like
There's
things.
also so many cognitive benefits,
Yeah.
especially if you start in, like when you are early in perimenopause, that I think are really underrated. But it's one of those things where it's like that's such a rough transitionary time where there's so many life disrupting symptoms, why not use a tool that removes those things?
Yeah, absolutely. That is from a health perspective, as you mentioned, like so many like cognitive, like neuroprotective benefits. Estrogen is also very cardioprotective, right? Where like the risk, the cardiovascular event risk for men is much higher than women until women get to menopause, and then is essentially equal, I believe, because of drop in estrogen. Um, and as you said, Natalie, it's not, I think people a lot of times think it's like we're going up to super physiological levels. Like, well, I don't want to turn into a bodybuilder. And it's no, it's just like, it's kind of like you're just like you were dehydrated. Now you just like drink water, you're hydrated. It's not like we're like taking this to a crazy level, right? We're just getting you back to like a healthy baseline as the goal. But especially for like, I find like clients in their 50s and beyond. Not that we have a whole lot in their like 60s, but like a lot of clients I've talked to in their 50s, there seems to be such a strong stigma, negative stigma around HRT, where it's like, dude, this could do so much, not just for like physique, but your whole quality of life, like your health, your ability to maintain bone density, like all these things long term. Like this is, it's that is for sure, I think, something that's underrated in that capacity. But anyone have anything else to add before we continue? Cool. Um, Fasted cardio, overrated or underrated? Natalie, what do you think?
I think outside of our sphere, overrated, because I think people think there's something magical to it. Um, people I feel like we get the question all the time, like, does cardio have to be fasted? And the answer really is no, it doesn't have to be. I do mine fasted simply because I prefer it that way. I like to roll out of bed and get it done, and that makes sense to me in my life and my schedule, but not because there's any secret benefit to doing so. I also know if I do it first thing in the morning that I can't put it off. And I think a lot of people could benefit from that approach with a lot of things. uh,
Andrea?
I would agree. I don't really have much to add to that. I'd fully agree.
Yeah. Unless again, if you want to implement yohimbine, potentially like a slight benefit, not a huge one. I don't do mine fasted. I don't take yohimbine just because I hate how it makes me feel even in a fat loss phase. So cool. Nothing else to add there. Versa grips. Natalie, do you both still use Versa grips?
Yes, I think they're way underrated.
Underrated.
I'm
Okay.
surprised at how many people I have rowing heavy weight and they're not using a grip.
I still have clients like every single day I'm doing form review and I'm like, bro, like, where are your grips? Like, didn't I was on you for this last week. Like, put them on.
Your
Um,
back and your glutes and your hamstrings are always going to be stronger than your forearms, and they should be. And so, if you're not wearing grips, you're not going to be able to take those muscle groups to failure because your wrists are going to give out, or your grip is going to give out first.
I also tell people like you think about it also as like a force or energy leak. It's like because
Yeah.
sometimes like I'll get a lot of it's like I feel like with the CrossFit crowd in particular, they're like, no, I got to grip train, or like, no, my grip is super strong. It's like not a problem. It's like that's the first thing someone will say to me is like, well, I'm not feeling my grip. Like this is fine. It's like right, but we're still allocating energy and like force output toward not the main thing, which is like
Yeah.
holding the thing. And so it's like it's an energy leak, and it's like that is greater force we could be pouring into our posterior, for example.
I just had someone's single arm lat pull down who I was reviewing, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
There were just like some minor things to fix, but for the most part, it looks good. And she said she wasn't feeling her lats, she was feeling her bicep. And I said,
Hmm.
well, if you put your wrist straps on, you're going to be able to think the internal cueing is going to be able to be drive the elbow down versus when you don't have a wrist strap on, you're going to have to just squeeze the life out of the grip and be pulling, and you're much more likely to engage with your biceps and pull with your biceps. It's just they're so helpful.
I was thinking of this question as like Versa grips versus regular wrist straps, not like grips versus no grips.
I
Um,
think for machines and dumbbells, Versa grips are underrated, and for barbells, Versa grips are overrated. I still wear my lasso straps for barbells.
I like those straps for a barbell. I haven't had a barbell movement in so long, um, but I could see that.
have those ones that are like they're like my like wrist cuffs and like the strap together. I like how they're like a little tighter on the wrists. You don't have to like tighten them down over your wrist like you do a normal wrist strap. I feel like I can get a little bit better hand pressure. Thinking through it now, I think my Versa grips just got a little too small. I was doing that. I did that hand specialization phase. Actually, though, like
Your
I feel like
hands
I
just
could.
got too jacked.
Uh, I think I had too small of Versa grips because I feel like I could not get good hand pressure. Like it was always just like either very much on like my pinky side or my pointer finger side. Um,
There's the figure eights.
no, they're like a cuff you could do like cable lateral raises with, and then there's just like a strap attached to them.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
but yeah, I would agree. I think in general, all types of grip assistants are underrated. As a whole, I would say I'm still probably partial to Versa grips. This is making me want to buy bigger ones and try it again. Um, it is also so funny to the amount of like with normal wrist straps, the amount of videos that I've had to like have people send in terms of like, dude, show me how you're using your wrist straps. I
Yeah.
promise you, we're not setting these up right because
With
people will
Versa
get like
grips too, though.
Yeah, even with Versas. Yeah.
yeah, where it's like around the wrong side of the dumbbell.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that always cracks me up. Where it's like, no, I promise you. Like I had one client, Jess, she's been crushing it, but she was like having such a hard time with her grips. I was like, all right, send me a video, please. Like I had sent over a demo video, like here's how we reuse straps, and then she was like wrapping it around the wrong side of the dumbbell, so
Yep,
she was
yep.
wrapping it around the finger side rather than the thumb side. And she was like, I'm so mad right now. I can't believe that nobody at the gym told me about this. All those dicks at the gym. She was like, I went out in my garage and I can't believe what a difference it makes. It's like, yeah, it really does work. Like the amount of conversations I've had where people are like, oh yeah, my grip's just like, it still my grip is what gives out. And it's like, all right, let's talk through this. Anyways, anything else on grips before we continue? Cool. High step counts for fat loss. Let's say greater than 12K per day. Overrated, underrated.
I'm torn, but I'm gonna say underrated.
Okay.
I know you're specifying over 12,000, but it just really always surprises me whenever someone's steps are so low, and it's just such a very easy low hanging fruit thing to do to get them up higher. Um, I don't think that everyone needs over 12K. That's a lot. I don't honestly ever, I won't say ever, but I don't often program that, but it is really helpful still.
Sure. Appropriately rated, underrated. It sounds like underrated.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say overrated in the way that this question is framed.
Yeah.
Um, I do have clients whose step goals in fat loss are like 10 to 12K. Like I like to kind of give a range.
Hmm.
I feel like in my personal experience as well as coaching experience, I've actually never had a step goal over 12K. I have hit over 12K, like just on accident, like walking dogs or something like that. But like, at some point, it just becomes like a time suck where I'm like, okay, but I could also just add like 5 minutes to your cardio, and drive up expenditure that way. And I know like personally, I would rather like less the less time investment there. It seems more efficient to me. Um, yeah. Like and I'm trying to also set up kind of nutrition in a way that like that's where that needs to be. Like we do have multiple dials we can adjust within fat loss, of course. But I just feel like unless you have a very active lifestyle, like you're a dog walker, or something, like purposely having someone do like 15,000 steps is, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of, that's more of a time investment, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I think that, and I'm all for like 12 to even like up to 15, I think can be feasible for some. I find like pending, like if I wanted to push it up to 15K, I pretty easily could with just my walking pad because I'm at my
Hmm.
desk all day. But as you said, a lot of times it's like it does become just such a time suck where I think just like programming more cardio might make more sense. I also think that I guess getting kind of outside of fat loss here. But for example, like I have a client where like our homework for the last couple of weeks for her has been keep your steps below 20K on average. And it's like
Hmm.
for even from a time perspective, like how do you find the time to do this? But also like there's comes a point where like this isn't more beneficial for us staying lean. This is just like creating a
Yeah.
recovery debt that's hurting our ability to build, which is the goal in this phase. That's kind of on a tangent I always end up going on about like stop doing so many steps. It's like, stop trying to do like 20K steps a day, but it does become a detriment at a certain point.
I also am not sure, like obviously we know about like energy expenditure and like how all of that works, but I've had certain days, especially like this past fat loss phase, because like I've done a little bit of traveling and like living situations have kind of changed a little bit, and so my routine, and then like I've had foster dogs, I haven't had foster dogs, like I've had a little bit more variability on my daily movement, like to the end of like more movement than usual. Like I'm a 10K step girly, like all the way. And I've had a
Hmm.
lot of days this summer that it's been like consistently like 13, for example.
Yeah.
And like it's really never, because I track everything and I'm like really accurate with all of my food tracking and my metrics and all of that. And like it like has not moved the needle for me. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm having success in fat loss now, yes, but it's also because all of those other factors are controlled. Like, I'd say my steps on average, I was talking to Andrea about this actually when you were here, Andrea, and I was just saying, yeah, like my daily average lately has been more like 12 to 13. And like, I don't feel like, oh yeah, like, man, I'm just dropping fat so quickly in this phase. Like, it just hasn't really moved the needle to any significant degree. But I think that's a little bit different when we're talking about the differential of like 10K steps per day to 12K steps per day versus 3 to 4K steps per day versus like 10K. Like
Yeah.
if we're getting like less than 7,000 steps a day, like you're not really considered an active individual. And so like
Yeah.
just getting you kind of above that into more like the 8 to 10 is a significant difference. But then I think like the higher you climb, that differential kind of like comes down. Like the
Mhm.
difference from like 10 to 12 is like not as significant as that like 5 to 8 kind of
I
thing.
would agree. I would agree. Even then, it's not like I'm never going to use a step count increase as like the main driver for fat loss. Even me increasing someone's like me adding like 2,000 steps to your day. Hey, maybe we're going to burn like, okay, for a 120-pound woman, that's roughly 70 extra calories that we burn in that day. It's more so like, how does this output add up over months and months of us like living a lifestyle, being able to maintain this like over time? Yes, it makes a difference. It makes a considerable difference. But I would fully agree, like if we're at that like roughly like 10K threshold, like us ramping that up more doesn't necessarily seem to get us exponentially more for the time invested.
You know, and
Cool.
I think
Still a
I feel
tool
like
I'll use sometimes, but
yeah, I
go
feel like
ahead.
this conversation has like evolved a little bit to like outside fat loss.
Word.
So a note about that is like if 20K, and you're talking about your client who you're trying to bring her step count down, and I've had those clients as well. It's like, okay, well now this is just our new baseline. So now
Yeah.
you're really giving me like you're taking away a tool that I might need later on, right? Because now like 20K steps per day every day is your maintenance. Like that's what your body, is kind of predicting that, that this is part of my equation and this is just like my homeostasis, right? And so later, when we get you into fat loss, like now we don't have that tool because now what are we going to do? Like 25, 30,000 steps? Like that's definitely hitting the point of diminishing returns.
Cool. Um, Flat shoes for leg day. Overrated, underrated.
I put this on the list because I just wanted everyone here to know that you need to wear flat shoes for leg day. So
Please.
yeah, stop with the moon boots. Like stop with the Hokas. Like please just wear flat shoes.
Can you explain why that is?
When we're training our legs, foot pressure is super important, and that like ground contact, like we need to feel where the pressure is in our feet, like front to back, left to right, weight distribution. And when you're wearing a heavily cushioned moon boot shoe, like a Hoka Brooks, something that like a running shoe, they have so much cushion and arch support that we're not really able to leverage any of those things. So
A lot of times, like if we have knee pain, even like it can literally, a big part of the issue can literally be like we have such poor foot pressure simply from your shoe selection. Yes, I would like to second that. Please wear flat sole shoes. I can think of a few people where it's every week I'm like, hey, can you please take your shoes off or wear flat sole shoes? Kind of like the grips where it's like, dude, come on, let's put this into practice. It makes a difference. Cool. Anything else on that?
let's do it, okay?
Just do it. Pre-workout, overrated, underrated. Honestly, I love caffeine. I'm gonna say underrated because I think that I don't know. I don't have anything against pre-workout. There's nothing magic about it. Like I don't think any of the other ingredients outside of the caffeine make all that much difference truly in terms of your performance. Yes, there are going to be like some mild benefits to like your I don't even know, like your beta alanine potentially improving endurance or like your I'm trying to think of even other pre-workout ingredients.
Citrulline.
Your citrulline, like you can get a bit better pump. Always nice, right? Like I'm not opposed to like a little pump product either. I don't, is it gonna be like make or break? No, absolutely not. But I still like, I enjoy a pre-workout
Do you
or
take
like
a pre-workout or do you just have like an energy drink?
that said, I do typically just have like an energy drink. From time to time, I'll have a pre-workout. I have like so many different types of pre-workouts. I like the like raw pre-workout, like the C-bomb one. I'll take like one scoop of it. Big issue is I feel like they have like so many pre-workouts now have like 300 plus milligrams per serving. So I normally want like 150. So I'll normally do like a half scoop if I do take one. What's you guys' take?
I, I would just do water and electrolytes. I like to get my
Yeah.
caffeine from, I do like energy drinks and I like to drink coffee. So, I mean, I like a non-stim pre-workout. I would use it if I had it, but I'm just not
Mhm.
going to spend money on it because I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, that's actually, I said all that to say that I basically don't take pre-workout except for now that I think of it, I used to a lot more. Like
They're
once every
nice
two
in
weeks, I'll,
theory.
I'll have some. Yeah. But I would say like doing something, if you train like later in the day, like like probably the biggest thing you would get from like a non-stim pre-workout is going to be like the alpha GPC or something of the sort, or like some cognizant from like the nootropic, and it still will feel like it like gives you a boost like that, and even like some beta alanine if those tingles kind of get you going, like that would probably be more beneficial. But yeah, it is basically the caffeine. Just something in me is still refusing to say that pre-workout is overrated. I don't know.
Have you ever used it, Natalie? Ever?
Long time ago, I got some non-stim pre-workout because like I drink a fair amount of coffee in the morning, so I'm like, oh, I probably don't need anything extra at this point. Then my Coke Zero obsession. So I think I'm doing okay on the caffeine front. And I just like it did nothing for me. Like the tingles were like the beta alanine like kind of tingles were short-lived, and I was like, I don't get it. I do use like electrolytes and EAAs. I mean, now we're just talking like intra, but
Yeah.
specifically a pre-workout, I've just never been into it.
I feel like the longer I've trained, the more I've realized. Like I used to just always think that more stimulants were better, especially around training. And like it can have a very large negative impact on your training. You get like so much neural drive, but especially like if you're training lower body, your heart rate can get so elevated that people you literally just will gas out too early, like in like a set of leg press, for example, because your heart rate is so much more elevated than it would normally be. Um, and it is also counterproductive if like you want to get a good pump. So
Vasoconstricting.
correct. Cool. All right, let's wrap it up there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. If you did, leave us a 5-star rating and a review. If you would like to apply to work with our team, hit the link in the show notes, and we will catch you guys next time.